They called it the oscillation, not a mere wave in the electromagnetic spectrum, nor a simple vibration of mass. It was something deeper, etched into the lattice of space-time itself, a resonance that had pulsed invisibly through the universe. Since its birth, now at last audible to humankind, Dr. Elena Voss sat alone in the listening chamber of the Orbital Spectral Observatory, orbiting Titan at a distance calculated for minimal interference. The hum of cryocoolers and the low hiss of atmosphere filters were constants of her vigil. But tonight, beneath those mechanical murmurs, her instruments registered something anomalous. Not a spike in gamma radiation, not the telltale waveform of gravitational tremors, something subtler. A background modulation, a frequency displaced by fractions of a hertz. As if the cosmos itself had adopted a heartbeat, Elena leaned forward. The spectral display danced, a series of oscillations, defying conventional models. Overlaying Maxwell's equations revealed no explanation. Kerr metrics offered no clue. Even quantum field simulations faltered in the face of this pattern. It wasn't noise. It wasn't artifact. It was intentional. The breakthrough came by accident. In a classified test of a nascent warp drive calibration at the Deep Space Testing Facility, Elysium Station, a slight misalignment triggered a cascade of harmonics at full power. The experimental lattice-in intricate weave of superconducting niobium and metamaterial conduits coupled with the oscillation. The instruments recorded a micro-rupture in spacetime, a slit, barely millimeters wide, opened before the sensor array. Through that aperture shimmered a realm that defied Euclidean geometry, angles folded into themselves. Colors beyond the visible spectrum, time flowing in irregular eddies. And for an instant, something moved on the far side, its form flickering through a kaleidoscope of impossible topology. When the anomaly collapsed, the lab lay strewn with ash-like residue, crystallized fragments of once latent cosmological dust. Chronometric records were skewed by milliseconds. Gravimetric sensors went offline. Most unnerving, Dr. Haruto Seiki, lead waveform architect, froze in place. His pupils dilated, as if drawn to phantom stimuli. When Elena finally breached protocol and approached him, his voice flat and toneless breathed only, "They heard us." No one doubted him. The oscillation was not a natural byproduct. It was a message, encoded in the prime harmonics of reality. Weeks fell away in a blur of equations, simulations, and sleepless nights. Under the secret directive of the Astral Foundation, Elena Haruto, and a hand-picked cadre of the world's top physicists, mathematicians, and neural architects, formed Project Chorus. The initial goal to harness the resonance for instantaneous, faster-than-light data transfer was abandoned after the first explosive tests. Instead, every experiment became an attempt to map the harmonic language, the syntax of wave interference, phase inversion, and space-time resonance. In the echoing vaults of the underground lab, they constructed the conductor, a crystalline lattice of beryllium-doped superconductive alloys engineered to replicate the alien frequency at precise amplitudes. Early trials produced only subtle distortions, a flicker in the corner of a researcher's vision, a momentary slowdown in chronometers, a bend in light that vanished before any camera could capture it. Each success felt incomplete, as if they were hearing only a single note from a vast symphony. In parallel, Dr. Tamara Weiss, cognitive linguist and polyglot codebreaker, pored over the oscillation patterns like ancient runes. She transcribed the harmonics into multidimensional matisse, seeking grammar amid the chaos. Her nights dissolved into fractal diagrams and spectral sonograms until, one dawn, she fell into a dream of a city built from liquid mirrors, humming with chord progressions no human ear could parse. When she awoke in her cramped quarters, she found the lab's central command desk etched with the very symbols she had drawn in her sleep. Scrawled in deep grooves across the steel surface were interlocking waveforms, a response, not a warning. The message was unmistakable. "We are coming through." Panic rippled through the team. Security protocols classified the desk as contaminated. Cameras were adjusted to infrared and ultrasonic bands. Mirrors were covered or removed. Researchers donned eye shields when entering any reflective environment, but the phenomenon spread beyond polished surfaces. A lab rat in a cell enclosure began reacting violently to simulated silence. Its neural implants recorded brainwave patterns analogous to the oscillation itself and echo within the creature's hippocampus. When the rodent thrashed beneath the absence of sound, its spine emitted a phosphorescent glow, then collapsed into stillness. The wound where its cage had been glowed like a crater-thin strands of resonance, shimmering in the darkness. The first human casualty came one night in the facility's washroom. A maintenance engineer, checking pressure valves, slipped near a row of polished stainless steel sinks. Security footage showed the reflection in the mirror lag behind reality by a fraction of a second. In that split-second distortion, the reflection rippled into a grin that curved at impossible angles. Then, a flash and the man was gone. No blood, no wound, only his wide, unseeing eyes remained. Pupils collapsed to pinpoints. Elena watched the playback on a loop, unable to tear her gaze away. The mirror's surface had etched itself into four-dimensional space, turning reflection into a doorway. She saw, just beyond the pane, a shape, a humanoid silhouette whose edges smudged against the steel like oil on water. It reached out, its hand passing through the glass before the scene snapped back to normal. They could no longer pretend the harmonic language was benign. It was a deliberate invocation of an agency beyond. Every new test, every broadcast of the conductor's signal, acted as a sonar ping, summoning presence. And now that presence had listened and answered. The boundary between observer and observed had dangerously thinned. Then late one evening, monitors in Subsector 4 registered an unbidden spike in the conductor's output. No command issued, no broadcast initiated. The crystalline lattice pulsed with full amplitude. On the holoscreen, space-time distortion maps flickered madly, an emergent rift, not confined by the containment chamber, blossoming in thin air. Elena and Tamara sprinted to the observation deck as emergency lighting cast long shadows down the corridor. Before them, a pale ellipse hovered a meter above the floor, its edges shifting like the event horizon of a miniature black hole. The air around it shimmered in iridescent ripples, even through the reinforced observation glass. The distortion whispered at their minds fragments of memory and probability coalescing into half-glimpsed visions. Stabilizer field failing. Haruto's voice crackled over comms, though he remained at the core console, eyes unfocused, as if peering into another realm. Oscillation amplitude spiking across all harmonics' cross-dimensional feedback loop. With no time to don protective gear, Elena grabbed a handheld resonant analyzer and moved closer. The device's readout danced at scales beyond normal. Calibration, hundreds of overlapping frequencies that should not coexist. She felt a vibration in her bones, as though the lab itself were harmonizing to some cosmic chord. Then, with a soundless rupture, the rift tore open wider, folding reality into itself in that silent implosion. They saw the Atlantic, not the ocean as maps depicted it, but a version seething with liquid light. Waves composed of sound rather than water crashed against shores of starlight. Translucent creatures swam through the air, trailing rhythms of color. The rift's curvature suggested a spherical Shellan orb of alternate Earth pinned into their world. The team stared, mouths agape, as the rift's heartbeat pulsed a deep, infrasonic thrum that resonated through steel and bone. Outside the facility, seismic arrays lit up, recording tremors with no tectonic cause. Birds fell silent in mid-flight. Fish beached themselves in hydroponic tanks. Everyone back, Elena shouted, but the pull was magnetic. Tamara, transfixed, held out a hand toward the breach. "Elena," she whispered, voice trembling with awe and fear. and then a shape emerged, silhouette of humanoid form, its surface rippling with braided harmonic waves. It paused at the rift's threshold, as if gauging the density difference between realms. Before stepping through, no one could say whether they saw it enter the room or their collective mind. The next instant, alarms silenced, light stabilized. The rift folded shut, leaving only a faint shimmer and the scent of ozone where the breach had been. A single, oversized pearl lay on the floor, its iridescent surface spun faint harmonic ripples. Elena knelt and reached out, but the moment her fingers brushed the pearl, every chronometer in the lab froze, then resumed 6 seconds later, as if time itself had skipped. That night, they recorded the first confirmed contact. But what truly haunted them was what they found imprinted on the pearl's surface. A sequence of interlaced waveforms and encoded address. A call, and somewhere on the other side, a reply already forming. By dawn, the encoded address was partially decoded, a set of spatio-temporal coordinates, not on Earth's star charts, but geometrically consistent with the mid-Atlantic seafloor. The team hypothesized that the convergence point lay within a deep rift trench, somewhere near the mid-Atlantic ridge, an anchor for the cosmic interface. Within hours, satellite triangulation confirmed anomalous energy signatures deep under the waves. As news of the Elysium breach trickled through black-budget channels, militaries around the globe raised alert levels. Deep-sea drones were hastily prepared for deployment, though none could approach without risking the same space-time distortion that felled the maintenance engineer. Meanwhile, Earth's magnetic field began to undulate in sync with the oscillation. Auroras, once confined to polar skies, danced over equatorial regions, painting the heavens in impossible harmonic hues. On the 4th day after contact, rifts appeared unbidden in everyday materials. The glossy finish on a commuter train, the surface of a calm lake, the polished wings of an intercontinental jet. In each case, witnesses reported hearing a low hum, a lure, like the call of some vast subaqueous leviathan. Attempts to document the phenomenon with recording devices failed. Cameras froze, microphones looped a single frame of static, and sensors registered only null readings. At Elysium, Elena and Tamara convened with Project Chorus's council. Haruto, eyes vacant, mind wired into the conductor's auxiliary matrix, spoke only through data streams. "They are mapping us," his voice intoned, layered in fractal echo. "Every echo we send returns enriched. They learn our physics, as we learn theirs." Elena's jaw tightened. "Then we must learn faster." They resolved to build a mobile resonance outpost, a vessel capable of descending to the trench coordinates while projecting a stabilizing harmonic counterpoint. In record time, a modified deep-sea explorer was outfitted with a miniaturized conductor array, its beryllium-doped alloys reconfigured into a toroidal emitter. The crew, Elena, Tamara, and 2 unmanned neural weave drones, programmed to pilot through space-time distortions. As the submersible slipped beneath the waves, the world above held its breath. Outside, currents pulsed with the resonance of worlds beyond, and in the depths, the frontier of the symphony awaited, an overture that would reshape reality itself. The pressure hull groaned as Elena and Tamara watched their instruments cascade oscillation readings into the red. Through the triple laminated viewport, bioluminescent plankton flickered along the sub's flare, their pulses drifting into alien scales. The modified conductor array lay dormant in the aft compartment, its toroidal emitter humming softly, waiting at 4,000 meters. The sonar returned only static and half-heard echoes of the oscillation. Every ping seemed to return, warped, stretched into glissandos that no human composer could write. Tamara adjusted the emitter's phase offset and initiated the counterpoint sequence. A low pulse radiated from the torus, harmonizing with the external rhythms. For a moment, the distortion in the viewport steadied. Then, with a silent shockwave, the water around them rippled inward and vanished. They were no longer underwater, but floating in a void of liquid resonance. The sub's lights refracted into spirals. Panels glowed with cascading waveforms. Elena's heart pounded. Her training offered no guidance for this state. Depth sensors' offline pressure reading 0.8-7 crackled the drones. Neuroweave channel, an unemotional voice speaking through the static. "What?" Elena gasped. The drone responded in waveform patterns. "We are in a harmonic phase inversion. Surroundings denote non-Euclidean bathymetry coordinate drift 0.00109 light-years." Tamara pressed her palm against the viewport. Beyond the glass, structures emerged. Towering spires of crystal, grown like coral on a reef of pure vibration. Between them, currents of sound wove through open arches. She felt the tug of unseen corridors. Elena keyed her mic. "Activate, exploratory out." A miniature sphere detached from the sub's underbelly, its array tuned to shepherd spatial integrity. It drifted toward the nearest spire, leaving a faint ribbon of harmonic stabilizer behind. As it glided in, the spire's surface shimmered in entangled web of frequencies instead of solid matter in the sphere's live feed. They saw movement, not fish, but beings' elongated forms that phased in and out of visibility. Each contour was a cascade of wave peaks, each gesture a dataset of emotion. They hovered around the sphere, examining it with unearthly curiosity. A low tone thrummed through the sub. Elena recognized the pattern, the reply forming to their initial call. She and Tamara exchanged a glance, part exhilaration, part dread. Then, the tone sharpened, slicing through the cabin. Instruments overloaded, lights flickered. Haruto's voice came through remote coms, strained. "They're responding to your mind, not the array. Don't let them in." But it was too late. The sphere's transmitter began leaking harmonic feedback. The beings outside had keyed into the human neural signature. Tamara's eyes fluttered as she spoke in a whisper. "They want us to understand." The sub trembled as new harmonics built. Reality warped. The controls melted into patterns. The viewport twisted into a Mobius plane. Elena grasped Tamara's arm. "Brace." A flash of pure resonance swallowed them. When the dissonance cleared, they were back in the sub's hallway, yet nothing was the same. Bulkheads arched impossibly. Control panels floated in midair. Time readouts oscillated between past and future. They had returned but to a place, unbound by their own reality. And in that moment, they understood. The boundary between worlds was not a barrier, but a membrane of song, and every voice mattered. They emerged into the confluence chamber, a vast circular hall at the subcenter, where the conductor's core was once housed. Now, the lattice had reformed into an intricate web of glowing filaments, each strand pulsing with a unique harmonic signature. At its heart, the oversized pearl lay suspended in a field of oscillating energy. Elena and Tamara approached with reverence and caution. Their keeper, the pearl, seemed to await an answer. Fingers trembled as she activated the auxiliary analyzer. The device began decrypting layers of the pearl's waveform, revealing nested levels of information. Maps of multidimensional corridors, schematics of crystalline lifeforms, and most unsettling simultaneous reflections of Earth's divergent histories. Haruto's voice echoed through the chamber's hum. "I have become the conduit," he intoned, his tone layered in harmonics that made the filaments vibrate. He stood at the chamber's apex, eyes glowing with the same iridescent light as the pearl. "I have transcended the limits of a single reality. I am many." Elena's heart clenched. "Haruto, you've merged yourself with the signal." He smiled in impossible gesture, shifting through ages. Not merged, amplified. The soul of the symphony. "I see every possible world, the one we live in, the ones we could build, the ones we have destroyed, and now, I invite you to choose." A low rumble resonated as the filaments arched, broadcasting choice itself as a harmonic frequency. Tamara seized Elena's hand. "It's the moment we feared and the moment we were born for." We must respond. Elena nodded. She drew a deep breath and closed her eyes. In her mind, she gathered the rawest tones of her existence, the laughter of her daughter, the crackle of rockets launching, the first note of a violin in a concert hall, a memory of her mother singing lullabies on Earth's night side. Each recollection formed a single, trembling frequency. She hummed, asterisk, asterisk at first. Her note was fragile, wavering thread against Haruto's perfect chord. But with each heartbeat, the melody grew richer. Tamara joined, her voice transparent, yet resolute, weaving scientific fractals into human longing. Together, they turned their memories into a tapestry of sound, a herald of resilience. Her filaments quivered, then unraveled. The hall shuddered as imperfect beauty clashed with immaculate precision. For a moment, time itself fractured, past, present, and future coalesced into a single, shimmering instant. And then, silence. When they opened their eyes, the conductor lattice lay dormant. The pearl, now dull and fractured, rested at their feet. The exit hatch slid open, revealing the submersible's corridor restored to its familiar geometry. Above them, the ocean had returned. Sensors reported standard pressure readings. Currents flowed normally. The mid-Atlantic convergence showed no trace on satellite scans, but the crew knew the truth. Reality had changed. As they ascended, Elena recorded a single message to Earth. We have sung our song. Now the world must learn to listen. Asterisk, asterisk, they broke the surface at dawn. The submersible's hatch hissed, releasing a plume of compressed air into the tranquil morning sea. Above, the sky was veined with auroral filaments, harmonic ripples still lingering from the convergence. News drones hovered at a cautious distance, their cameras once again able to record reality without warping. When Elena, Tamara, and the drones emerged onto the deck of the support vessel, they were met by a silence more profound than any they had known, an expectant hush, as if the world were waiting for the next note. In the days that followed, the tremors of their return resonated through every stratum of human society. Governments declassified fragments of Project Chorus's research. Academic journals published papers on spacetime resonance at rates previously thought impossible. Musicians and physicists collaborated to build the first resonance chamber sonic crucibles, capable of safely exploring the harmonic language. World leaders convened the first Tonal Council in Geneva, where delegates from every nation shared a single resonant chamber. Representatives hummed their cultural frequencies in unison, forging a global chord that transmuted political discord into understanding. Conflicts paused. Treaties advanced on the wings of harmonic compromise. Asterisk. Art and engineering merged. Architects designed halls whose geometry amplified emotional resonance. Healers used vibrational therapies to mend trauma, tuning patients' chakras through precise waveform modulation. Explorers prepared ships for interdimensional voyages, equipping them with harmonic stabilizers and neuroweave drones. Tamara returned to her fractal coil diagrams, now field verified by the Confluence mission. She and Elena co-authored the first harmonic codex, a living document mapping the grammar of the multiverse's hidden music. Their chapters described not only technical protocols, but also ethical imperatives. Every test, they wrote, must honor the autonomy of emerging intelligences beyond the veil. Haruto's fate remained a mystery. Some claimed he had transcended into pure resonance, wandering the harmonic sea as a guardian of possibility. Others whispered that fragments of his template lingered, ghost frequencies that surfaced in human dreams, inviting listeners to embrace unity or risk obliteration. Years passed, and Earth settled into a new axis, a planet attuned to both its own song and the cosmic chorus. At night, one could stand beneath the aurora-like resonance sky and hear distant harmonics that no instrument could play, a reminder that the universe's symphony was endless, and somewhere, on a rim of reality, yet unnamed, the first harmonic. Ambassadors prepared for their next voyage, Elena, Tamara, and a crew of signal weavers, each carrying a single message. We come to share our song, because the symphony of the cosmos was far from over it, had only just begun its second movement, and the score awaited new contributors from worlds yet to sing. In the weeks after the Geneva summit, the harmonic ambassadors embarked on their first interdimensional envoy, a convoy of resonance vessels, each bristling with conductor arrays and neural weave co-pilots, slipped through stabilized rifts to distant reality stream waypoints. Their mission: to exchange harmonic motifs with other civilizations, to learn their cadences, and share humanity's flawed yet resilient refrain. Their first destination emerged in the spectral charts as SCIFI, a pocket universe where light coalesced into living prisms, and thought rippled across landscapes like gentle breezes. The ambassadors recorded the native harmonics, an intricate tapestry of overlapping overtones that conveyed emotion directly, without words or symbols. Back on Earth, composers began to study the recordings, fascinated by the non-linear melodies that could induce collective empathy with a single chord. Meanwhile, deep-sea dredges in the Pacific Rift uncovered natural harmonic crystals, geological formations that seemed to store layers of the oscillation's multiversal signature. Researchers hypothesized that the planet itself had been resonantly seeded, that Earth's mantle once listened to cosmic sonatas eons before life emerged. Among the Tonal Councils initiatives, a new project stood out: the Aeonian experimental cohort of volunteers trained to vocalize foundational frequencies in unison. Their rehearsals became global events, broadcast across media channels, uniting millions in collective resonance. Scientists discovered that synchronized humming at specific ratios could heal damaged tissue, stabilize mood disorders, and even repair microfractures in materials. Yet not all resonances were benign. Fringe sects arose, preaching harmonic purification, extremist ideology that sought to cull dissonant elements from society and enforce a singular global frequency. Skirmishes broke out when they attempted to sabotage resonance chambers. The Tonal Council responded with a charter of dissonance, a codified declaration that diversity of resonance was sacred, that discord carried the seeds of creativity and adaptation. On the scientific frontier, Dr. Kai Nguyen applied harmonic algorithms to quantum computing, creating the first resonant qubit processor that encoded information in vibrational states rather than binary logic. Initial tests yielded breakthroughs: complex simulations of climate systems and protein folding executed in seconds that traditional supercomputers required days to compute in Antarctica. The Harmonic Research Station discovered an ancient subterranean cavern lined with crystalline structures, amplifying natural seismic hums. It became a pilgrimage site for researchers and spiritual seekers, alike a cathedral of Earth's primordial song. Expeditions mapped its resonant chambers, tracing waveguides that formed a natural acoustic labyrinth spanning kilometers. Amid these triumphs, whispers persisted of residual Haruto frequencies, ghost signals that echoed in the subconscious of artists and innovators, inspiring both marvel and madness. The Council dispatched a specialized unit, the Harmonic Wardens, to monitor and contain disruptive resonance outbreaks. Their methods combined acoustic dampeners, phase cancellation arrays, and immersive therapy for affected individuals. As the symphony's movements unfolded, the line between science and art blurred. Concert halls became laboratories. Research papers read like librettos. Humanity's collective narrative intertwined with the cosmos's harmonies, each generation adding its own stanza to an ever-expanding opus. And in the far reaches of the multiverse, countless civilizations listened, for in the grandest score of all, every voice, every heart, and every world had a part to play. Yet, as the cosmic choir swelled, an uncharted motif shimmered at the edges of perception, a delicate dissonance that no resonance chamber could yet decipher. Somewhere, far beyond the stabilized rifts. A hidden frequency waited to be born. A new thread of the symphony called out. Elena and Tamara listened closely, their senses attuned to the faintest echo. Somewhere in the harmonic sea, a question hovered, unresolved and insistent. Who will dare to sing the next note?